Who would have thought after all these years of Dalek exterminations, their poor victims could have just ducked underneath the laser beams the whole time? Hey Dalek!
What?
You suck!
You what? Such insolence will not be tolerated! Exterminate! Exterminate!
You missed.
What kind of preschool bullcrap is this? Never in my life have I had to endure such unreasonable
See?
evasion
It's apparently
maneuvers.
that
What
easy
am
if
I,
these
some
episodes
kind
are
of
anything to
freaking
go by.
stormtrooper?
And we're back with 1965's The Chase, a 6-episode serial featuring the Daleks in their 3rd ever appearance. Now, will they be as menacing or imposing as they were in the Dalek invasion of Earth? Or will they be a bit more pathetic like they were in their original story?
Over here!
Well, let's just say a little bit of both, shall we? But before we begin, I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk about how awesome the DVD's cover art is. I've owned this box set for quite a few years now, and this one has always stood out to me. Like, what are these weird little orb things? Are they pseudo-Daleks? Are they new creatures? Much like the Crotons and the Dominators, I really like the design and I'm looking forward to seeing them in action. Alright, the thing that threw me off about The Chase is that rather than having one continuous narrative, it's more a collection of short stories, or mini-adventures per se, in which the overarching plot is to escape and eventually confront the pursuing Daleks. I got the feeling while watching that a lot of these mini-arcs were full story ideas that just didn't make the cut or were too underdeveloped. But instead of wasting the good ideas, just shrink them down and insert them into a much bigger story that could accommodate the different settings. And you can really feel the impact on the pacing right from the start. You get the sense that they are actively trying to fill in as much time as possible to meet the 6-episode runtime quota. Like, do we really need full unedited static camera shots of Ian and Vicky climbing up a sand dune, or a group of Daleks slowly rolling through a doorway with the door closing behind them? No, I didn't think so, but they're here anyway. This one might feel very familiar to the fans of the first season story, The Keys of Marinus. You know, the one where the crew had to like dot all around the place collecting keys and stuff. You may recall I really enjoyed The Keys of Marinus, so I was already on board with what the serial was doing. There is a whole lot to cover, so let me just shoot out a bunch of awesome and slightly less awesome things we got to experience while watching The Chase. The first 2 episodes see our team trying to avoid being used as a bargaining chip for a group of fish people while escaping giant killer octopuses. Yes, really. And if you think that's goofy, a Dalek awkwardly groaning as it slowly rises out of the sand is nowhere near as cool or impactful as the one that rose from the River Thames last time. The Doctor gives Ian a device which he calls the TARDIS magnet, which I assume is a way to, like, locate the TARDIS when you've been separated from it, even though that's not what a magnet does. Regardless, this is the kind of thing that, like, you should have on you at all times, so why have they never used this device in the countless times they've been separated from the TARDIS before? And furthermore, why introduce this potentially life-saving device and then not even use it in this episode either? Seriously, here's this important device. Now never use it. As for a device they actually use, we get to see that visualizer thing that the Doctor kept from the Space Museum at the end of the last episode. It's basically a huge machine that acts as a TV with basically interdimensional cable from Rick and Morty. By that I mean it can supposedly view anything from any point in time on this tiny little screen. Unlike the magnet, it does actually get used more than once. I love how the 2 school teachers choose to watch really important moments in human history, like Abraham Lincoln delivering a speech or William Shakespeare being inspired to write Hamlet. Meanwhile, Vicky tunes into BBC 3 in 1965 to watch a friggin' band play live on TV. The Beatles, huh? I don't think I've heard of them. They must have been like an old obscure indie band that didn't really go anywhere. Much like this scene as a whole didn't really go anywhere, I still really enjoyed watching it. It was also really nice to see what planet Iridia used to look like before the Tyrannoids invaded for Dr. Nefarious. Episodes 3 and 4 are where things start to get a bit weird. We get these bizarre 10-minute segments with their own self-contained narratives where the Doctor and company land, faff about for a couple of minutes, and then leave before the Daleks arrive and do the exact same thing. They have a short run-in with a group of obnoxious Americans, so a group of Americans up on the Empire State Building. Same location, mind you, from 2007's Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks, starring the Amazing Spider-Man. Then cram in some real-world history rewriting with the ghost ship Marie Celeste. Then a straight-up horror house, complete with ghosts, vampires, and Frankenstein's monster? A location so ridiculously unbelievable that I was pleasantly surprised when they revealed what it actually was. And finally, for the last 2 episodes, both the Daleks and the TARDIS arrive on a planet inhabited by sentient fungus. Yeah, like giant killer mushrooms. Don't ask. And also along the way, they managed to lose Vicky, and she's somehow stowed away on the Dalek ship where they created an identical robot replica of the Doctor. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on in the story, so just don't ask. Story spoilers, yada yada yada. In the end, we're introduced to Stephen Taylor, played by Peter Purves, who, unbeknownst to us, is about to become the latest companion to the Doctor. Although it's never shown how he manages to get inside a locked TARDIS, but he risks his life by jumping into a burning building to save his stuffed panda mascot, so he's already a hero in my books. The robot orbs from the DVD cover are called mechanoids. They're alright. I really love their design, but their voice is so inaudible that subtitles are an absolute must. Although I should point out that when the mechanoids returned for that weird CGI Daleks miniseries that came out a couple of years ago, their voices were much better. I haven't watched this yet. It doesn't look good, but I don't want to judge a book by its cover. The climax is suitably goofy, and I'll leave it at that. Something I've neglected to mention until now is that the method in which the Daleks pursue the Doctor is absolutely insane. They straight up built a fully functioning time machine off-screen, which, you know, is a little implausible, but I can buy it. But the fact that it can also travel through space and time, and is literally bigger on the inside, just like the TARDIS, that's just absurd. I would go so far as to call it a major plot hole, but right at the end, the Doctor does drop a line saying something like it has dimensions relative to time. Whatever. It's still hard to believe that's something that the Daleks could actually feasibly do, but to be fair, it is used for more than that one narrative device. It also acts as Ian and Barbara's means of getting home, for you see, dear viewers, this is where we must bid farewell to the final 2 original companions. And it's a nice farewell too. The Doctor has his first proper tantrum in ages, but it's clear that he really is just a stubborn old man who grew quite fond of Ian and Barbara. Upon returning to England, Earth, 1965, they promptly blow up the Dalek time machine and then run through central London with smiles on their faces, laughing together, and the last we see of them getting on a bus, smiling, wishing the Doctor well, which he does eventually see using the visualizer from earlier. And that's it. Despite still having one more story in this season, it ends the same way as season 1's conclusion, with the camera slowly panning out into space with dramatic music playing. So there you have it, folks, The Chase. I didn't like it as much as the Dalek invasion of Earth, but I still really enjoyed it. I appreciated a lot of the creative locations and ideas, but some of the pacing really made it drag and feel like it was going on forever. I'm sure a more concise, focused narrative would have served better, but it could have been a lot worse. Ugh. I'm not looking forward to the Daleks master plan. I have a real bad feeling about that whopping 10-parter. Oh my goodness, it's 12 parts! And it has a prologue episode. 13 episodes. What? Thank you so much for watching this long-ass video. Next week we'll be wrapping up season 2 with The Time Meddler. This is another one I know the basic setup for, but I have no idea how the plot will go, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that one play out. Hopefully, you'll see me there.
Hey,